60 Minutes Rewind.
Mark Bradford is widely considered one of the most important and influential artists in America today. His abstract canvases, which often deal with complex social and political issues, hang in major museums around the world and on the walls of big collectors and some small ones like me. Bradford's art may look like paintings, but there's hardly any paint on them. They're made out of layers and layers of paper, which he tears, glues, power washes, and sands in a style all his own. When he began making art in his 30s, Bradford couldn't afford expensive paint, so he started experimenting with end papers that are used for styling hair. He got the idea while working as a hairstylist in his mom's beauty shop in South Los Angeles. He was broke, struggling, and didn't sell his first painting until he was nearly 40.
I heard a story that when you sold your first artwork in 2001, you called up your mom. Do you remember what you said to her?
I said, girl, I think I found a way out of the beauty shop. Girl, I think I found a way out of the beauty shop, yeah. Yeah, because I had no idea how I was going to stop being a hairstylist because that's really the only thing that I knew. I didn't have a problem with being a hairstylist, but that's all I knew.
It's incredible to think that 2001 is when you first sold a work.
Yeah.
And now...
I still sell works.
Yeah, you sure do.
I sure do.
This is the top.
His first painting sold for $5,000. Now they can sell for more than $10 million. This new one was bought by the Broad Museum in Los Angeles. They have 9 other Bradfords in their collection.
1, 2, 3.
It's called Deep Blue. It's 12 feet high, 50 feet long, and took a full day to install.
That's all right. That is all right.
None of those colors you see are paint. It's all paper layered on canvas. It's abstract, but not entirely. See those lines that form a grid? It's a street map of the Watts neighborhood in Los Angeles. The colored balls show where properties were damaged in 1965 after 6 days of violent civil unrest, protests over police brutality and racial inequality. We first saw the painting nearly a year ago, and Bradford had just started working on it in his studio in South Los Angeles. He'd already made the map of Watts out of bathroom caulking. The following month, when we stopped by again, he'd laid down 14 layers of colored paper and covered it all up with a layer of black.
So there's a map underneath here.
Yes.
Of Watts.
All these little points are what was looted, what was destroyed. So I kind of start from a map, and then on top of it, I think I lay art history and my imagination, all 3.
Bradford uses household tools to make his paintings. He likes to buy everything at Home Depot.
My motto is if Home Depot didn't have it, Mark Bradford didn't use it.
That's your motto.
That's my motto. That was my motto.
To this day, is that...
To this day.
Building up the layers of paper on the canvas is just the beginning of his process. He then starts to peel, cut, and sand them down, which can take months.
It's like an archaeological dig.
It is like an archaeological dig. It's like history. I'm creating my own archaeological or psychological digs. Sometimes when I'm digging on my own painting, I'm asking myself, well, exactly what are you digging for? Where do you want to go, child? Oh, see, look at that. See, now see that, I like.
A lot of people get an abstract painting and think it's squiggles, it's torn paper. I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's true. But for me, those squiggles and torn paper gives me a space to kind of unpack things, like the Watts riots. I'm grappling with how I feel about that subject and that material. I do grapple with things. I grapple with things personally and, racially and politically. What does it mean to be me?
Mark Bradford has been grappling with that question in his art for the last 18 years, from making paintings out of street posters like those offering predatory loans in low-income neighborhoods, to creating works that address HIV/AIDS, racism, and the complexity of American history. He's 57 years old now, and at 6'8", stands out in a crowd. He still lives in South Los Angeles, where he grew up. When he was 8, he says, he began to get bullied by neighborhood kids.
That was the first time I felt different. That was the first time I was aware of my sensitivity. That's the first time someone said, "Oh, you're a sissy." I definitely knew that I had to learn to navigate in a more cautious way so that I could survive. I just never had a problem being me.
So even though they were calling you sissy, it didn't make you want to try to change yourself?
Not really. No, not really. I just didn't want to get my ass whooped.
He was raised by his mother, Janice Banks, who owned her own beauty salon. That's where Bradford would head every day after school.
I knew that I had to find a way to get across the schoolyard. I knew that my mother was always going to be there once I got across the schoolyard. And maybe, I was in the hair salon every day watching women get across the schoolyard. You know, I would hear their stories, I would watch them go through, and I just thought, if they can do it, I most certainly can do it.
Mark Bradford started working in the salon as a teenager, eventually becoming a hairstylist. It was a safe place where he could be himself, but that feeling disappeared in 1981 when his friends began dying from AIDS.
I knew a storm was coming. I knew that. In the gut, I knew that. And people were just dying. That's what it felt like to me at 18 years old. I just was thinking, how are we going to make it through?
Did you think you would make it through?
No, I didn't think I'd make it through.
Thinking he didn't have a future, he didn't plan for one. But when he was nearly 30, he took art classes at a junior college, and he says it clicked.
There was the reading and learning about different scholars and feminism and deconstructing modernism and all that. I was just, oh man, I'm really into this. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but yeah.
And you'd still work at the hair salon?
Oh, every day.
And so you'd be studying while at the hair salon?
Oh, absolutely. I put the book in their lap and say, go read that back to me.
He won a scholarship to the California Institute of the Arts, but struggled to make money as an artist. When he was 39, he finally had a breakthrough.
I was working on a head.
Working on a head?
Working on a head, working on
At the beauty salon?
Beauty salon, yeah. Because I was still working the hair salon, Anderson. I told you that.
I just didn't know that terminology.
I was hooking it up.
Okay.
Right. Late at night, I was tired as hell, too. And just end papers fell on the floor. And I looked down and I thought, oh, they're translucent. Oh, I could use these.
End papers are small, rectangular tissues used to make permanent waves in hair. Bradford began burning the paper's edges and lining them up into grids he glued onto bed sheets.
I knew I was onto something. I knew this was bridging. This material came from a site outside of the paint store. I think early on I was trying to weave these two sides of who I was together, the art world and the sites that I had come from, the life that I had led. I didn't want to leave any of it behind. I didn't want to edit out anything.
Private collectors began snapping up his end paper paintings, and his career took off. He's now a celebrity in the art world. And his gallery openings are star-studded events.
How are you?
At the latest one in Los Angeles, Beyonce and Jay-Z, who own several Bradfords, stopped in. The 10 paintings in this exhibition sold out before the gallery doors opened.
Look how nice this is. Wow, it's gorgeous.
Bradford and his partner, more than 20 years, Alan DeCastro, are committed to using contemporary art and their own money to revitalize the neighborhood Bradford grew up in. In 2014, they opened Art and Practice with Eileen Harris Norden, the first collector to buy Bradford's work. It's a nonprofit complex of buildings that includes a gallery, lecture spaces, and his mother's old beauty salon.
This is the last hair salon that my mom worked in, and then I took it over from her. It was in the 90s. It was called Foxy Hair.
They turned Foxy Hair into a center for young adults transitioning out of foster care.
I would run down the block in here and buy myself whatever I needed to put back on the hair.
But we were surprised to learn that Mark Bradford still styles hair. He does it for some of his former clients from the beauty shop, who are also among his closest friends.
When you look around, does his art make sense to you?
It does. It's like a map in outer space.
I mean, I look at it, it's beautiful, but I don't really
get it.
No.
He gave me something from his studio a long time ago, and I put it in my garage.
She did.
I put it in my garage. This is before he got, like, popular, I guess. And yeah, and it's all torn up. And this guy was like, you know, you have something like a Mona Lisa. I'm like, for real?
Wow.
No.
Y'all wrong for that.
I don't see it.
No,
You don't see it.
I don't. But I
pieces
like
that
how
he
you
gets
give a little insight of like what's going on in our community. I know that much about your art, so that much I really like.
The story will continue after this.
Bradford's latest work continues to focus on difficult and controversial issues. This painting, which is prominently displayed in the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, is called 150 Portrait Tone and was made in response to the 2016 fatal police shooting of Philando Castile during a traffic stop in Minnesota.
He was trying to get out his ID and his wallet out his pocket, and he let the officer know.
Castile's girlfriend, Diamond Reynolds, live-streamed the incident. Bradford was so haunted by her words, he made them into this painting.
Please don't tell me this, Lord. Please, Jesus, don't tell me that he's gone.
It's really the conversation that his girlfriend is having.
With multiple people, which I was fascinated by.
Why were you fascinated by it?
How composed she was. She was having a conversation with her daughter in the back seat, with Philando, who was passing away, with God, with us, Facebook, and with the policeman, all simultaneously. It was visual and textual and heartbreaking and heroic and strong all at the same time.
In another major new work, Bradford turned his gaze to the Civil War. It's called Pickett's Charge, and it's a reimagining of a pivotal Union victory at the Battle of Gettysburg. It was commissioned by the Smithsonian's Hirshhorn Museum in Washington, D.C. Bradford used as his starting point blown-up photos of a 19th century panoramic painting of Pickett's Charge, a painting which offers a romanticized view of the Confederacy. He then added layers of paper and cords over it, then carefully gouged, shredded, and ripped it apart.
They almost feel like lacerations, almost scarring. That's what those feel like. And a little bit like bullet wounds, like you're really punctures.
It's a 360-degree painting that raises many questions in Bradford's mind, particularly about how we look at history.
It's looking at it through a different lens.
Yes, that's the feeling that I wanted you to have, that history was laying on top of it, gouging into it, erasing it, bits of it showing. It's kind of me kind of revising it.
So is this a more accurate representation of history?
I don't really believe history's ever fully accurate.
It's acknowledging that.
It's acknowledging the gaps,
Right.
the things we don't know.
So many people have come to see Pickett's Charge, the Hirshhorn has extended the exhibition for 3 more years. Bradford is already working on new paintings for shows in China, London, and New York.
Do you worry about the vagaries of the art world? What is popular today, 20 years from now?
Oh, no, I wouldn't have, no. I have never...
I mean, art has value because people believe it has value.
I think art has value because it has value. I'm not going to wait for somebody else to tell me my work has value. I certainly wasn't going to wait on people to tell me I had value. I'd probably still be waiting. It has value because I think it has value. And then if other people get on the value, Mark Bradford value train, great.